Hey guys, I am here with the second video, which is another book review, and it is for none other than the Thrawn Trilogy. Now, you guys might not know the significance behind the Thrawn Trilogy, but this trilogy is what kicked off the entire Legends timeline. Because, after the original trilogy, there were some comics that took place, I think, after, but this is what really launched what would eventually become the Legends timeline. This is a trilogy which was written by Timothy Zahn, and it is the trilogy where Mara Jade, Thrawn, Jason and Jaina Solo, and Pelion all make their debuts. Now, these are not the only books that Timothy Zahn has written. He has also written Allegiance and Choices of One, which I've read. Mara is in them both, and Thrawn is in Choices of One. He has written Star Wars Scoundrels, which I don't plan on getting or reading. He has written The Hand of Thrawn duology, which I do have and I'm going to read eventually. He's written Survivor's Quest, which I also have and plan to read. He has written Outbound Flight, which I plan to get and read someday. He's also written Thrawn books in canon, but I'm not reading those because I don't want to. But I will say this trilogy is a masterpiece. It starts with Heir to the Empire. Then we have Dark Force Rising. And then it ends with The Last Command. Now, all Legends books have their original print and then their reprint. The reprints of these, well, these are not the reprints, these are the Essential Legends Collection versions, so their covers are different, but the reprint forms a poster if you line them up end to end, because Heir of the Empire has one half of Thrawn's face on the cover, and then Dark Force Rising has the other half, so you put them together, it's his face, and then The Last Command is a picture of Thrawn with his, looking over his shoulder, his back is, he's standing in front of a viewport with his hands behind his back. But, yeah, and, because Timothy Zahn, I don't know what it is, but he takes, it feels like you're watching a movie. It feels like you're watching a movie from the original trilogy. But since I've seen Thrawn so much in canon, like in Rebels, I was imagining it was a original trilogy movie with Rebels elements mixed into it. And whenever Thrawn's dialogue I was reading, I would hear it in Lars Mikkelsen's voice. And that's the thing, with I've read, for Allegiance and Choices of One, it's felt like you're watching the original trilogy, because those two books take place just a few months after the Battle of Yavin, but these books take place 5 years after, 5 years. Or no. 5 years after Return of the Jedi, that's right. But Thrawn, before Thrawn, Zinj was the biggest warlord threat. But he died in the courtship of Princess Leia, which took place a year before the Thrawn campaign. But Thrawn, he is second to none when it comes to strategic brilliance. If you took him, Admiral Trench, and this one other guy, I can't remember his name, but basically he was the Thrawn of the Imperial Army. And if you took those three and combined them together, you would have an unstoppable military force. But I gotta say, Thrawn is just he's always one step or practically 2 steps ahead throughout this entire trilogy up until The Last Command, when something happens that he did not see coming. And I will say, I knew a lot of what was going to happen based on what I had seen, or read about. like from other sources, but reading this, I feel like I was watching the original trilogy, like a movie from the original trilogy, but there were some parts that I couldn't, because I'm someone who likes to visualize what I'm reading. But there were some parts that I couldn't quite visualize all the way. I couldn't visualize them well. But Rook, he's in these, and he's in Rebels too. And I imagined him in Rebels, but kind of like in live action. Well, actually, I was imagining an animated him in live action, but you get what I mean. But and the Salamiri, they disrupt the Force, like they completely strip it of wherever they are, like within a certain radius. And when I was reading about this, I was thinking Plagueis would probably take note of them, and turns out he does mention them in the Plagueis novel. My friend told me that, which makes sense. Because I will say, the East Salamiri in here, they remind me of the Talzin, which I think, like, their presence in the Force, like, cannot be felt. Like, they mask a presence in the Force, if I remember correctly. But they hide real well, undetectable by any Force user, and then they strike. And Darth Maul, compared trying to sense one in the Force as, and I quote, like encountering a surface so slick that one could find no purchase on it. But yeah, Thrawn made good use of them. Because Thrawn was very high up in Imperial Command. He knew about the existence of Mara and the rest of the Emperor's hands, but I will say, he told Mara that, like, he said hands. And that's what Mara didn't believe him when he said that there was only one, because Palpatine told her that she was the only one. And all of the Emperor's hands thought that they were the only one, but it's unknown how many there were. There could have been dozens, there could have been hundreds. But something to know, when Thrawn died and Palpatine, who had been reborn, like with transfer essence, when he found out about it, he was actually genuinely upset, because he really liked Thrawn. And I will say, I did not in the Heir of the Empire, I did not expect Thrawn to show up at the beginning of the book. I thought it would be maybe like the next chapter, but Mara Jade shows up in like chapter 2. But this is the book where she, Thrawn, and Pelion all made their debut. And something to know is anything from before the Clone Wars up till before the events of Junior Jedi Knights that is based on Mara or Thrawn was written by Zahn, because he created them, so of course he would write them. But this was very awesome to read. The previous night, not tonight, but the night before, I was so close to finishing The Last Command that I stayed up past, like, I think 1 in the morning to finish it, because I was so close. I was like, I can't put this down now. And despite Thrawn being dead, I know he is, like effects of him will still linger. But that's for another time, because I will admit, I read Supernatural Encounters volumes 1 and 2, and then I got started on this, and I'm a bit burned out on Star Wars books right now. I'm going to take a break from them. I'm reading books by other authors, and when I get started back on Star Wars, I'll be reading the Jedi Academy trilogy. But yeah, this is a masterpiece. If you want to start somewhere with the Legends timeline, start reading. Like, you can either start with Revan's, the Revan book, or start here. Like, this will help you, because yeah. And there were a lot of scenes, especially in Dark Force Rising and The Last Command, where, because I rely so much on visualizing things that I couldn't quite visualize them good, but yeah, aside from them, I felt like I was watching a movie from, like you would think of it like this. If you saw the original trilogy, you would think that these books, or any book by Zahn, was, like, you would just think it was, like, you know how the Bad Batch, like, when the first season of the Bad Batch came out, people said it was essentially the 8th season of the Clone Wars. This was essentially the 4th movie of the trilogy. What is 4 movies, actually? I know it's not a trilogy. I don't know what it's called, though. But yeah, I just want to say, like, these books, I could not get enough of them. I'm so glad I finally read them. I know, if you guys remember on my Instagram story, I did a poll where asking after I read Supernatural Encounters if I should read these or some of my other books, and 100% was the Thrawn Trilogy, and I read them, so now I know, and I am so glad I did. I might make an additional thoughts video on the Thrawn Trilogy, but I don't know. But yeah, I know that this was a rather shorter book review, but that's all I have to really say. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.